I guess we've begun. Welcome to the Horror Syndicate Discourse. Tonight we are talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No. Not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Keith's new favorite movie. It's available on Netflix. If you have not seen it, I'd suggest getting the fuck out of here now because we are going to spoil the fuck out of this one, okay? Because why not? You know, it's on Netflix. It's not like you got to go to the theater and spend money to go see it. You can fucking see it now, and then come back and watch it on the Horror Syndicate on YouTube and subscribe, of course, because why not? Help us out. So tonight we have a full house. We have a kind of a mixed opinion, just like Facebook has been all weekend. Oh, this was the shittiest movie of all time. This was the great movie. I loved it. This is fantastic. What a great whatever. Let's start off with, we're going to start off with where the is that fuck you, Charlie? Seth, I love you. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad. That's a nice shirt you have, by the way.
Yeah, we need to talk some Hellraiser soon, don't we?
That's right, we do.
Okay, real fast. Love it or hate it? I already know, but
I wouldn't say I hated it.
Oh,
okay.
We're gonna get into that
yeah.
for sure. All right. Not to cut you off, we got a full house, so I'm gonna get everybody in.
It's fine.
Next, we've got Leatherfuck.
Hi.
Love it or hate it?
Love it.
Okay.
I definitely don't hate it.
Okay. We watched it 3 times, so
I did watch it 3 times.
We have Jared. I didn't even think about wearing my Texas Chainsaw shirt.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I've got one, but I've got 2 actually. One says "Don't mess with Texas." It's got the state, silhouette and Leatherface. Anyway, Jared, love it or hate it?
Love is a strong word.
That's why you can say I'm in the middle.
Hate is a strong word.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, and we already have comments coming in, so we will have Nathan Thomas Milliner checked in the mail. How you doing?
I'm good.
Same question. Love it or hate it?
Jared's answer.
Okay.
I can concur.
All right. And we have a special guest with us tonight, the creator of Never Hike Alone, not Jason Voorhees. He's not getting credit for that. Vince DeSanti, how are you, buddy? Been a long time.
It's been a while. It's good to see everybody.
You have a very strong opinion. Love it or hate it?
I watched the movie.
I felt like that about something recently, didn't I? I can't remember what it was, but I watched it. I saw it.
I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched a movie.
I watched a movie. It had
Netflix and
downs. I basically have coined it. It's the Bitcoin stock of films, where it like has high highs, and then all of a sudden it just crashes, and you're like, "Where'd my money go?" And then it picks itself back up. But we'll dive into that as we kind of cruise through this schizophrenic Texas Chainsaw story.
This should be fun because it's a mixture of opinion for sure. And I'd like to hear from everybody for sure on first reactions. Again, I want to tell everybody there is a spoiler alert. Tons of spoilers. We're spoiling the whole fucking thing. And also, stick around to the end because we are going to reveal our updated Texas Chainsaw franchise rankings, which I have now got to find in the chat because I forgot to write them down. But it's okay. Spoiler alert. The worst one is it Next Generation? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I gotta look.
Hopefully not. Jesus. Leatherface is way worse than that movie.
It's my favorite one of the series. Leatherface finally feels like he could go up against Jason, Michael. Yeah, that's something we're gonna have to definitely talk about.
Yeah, that's a whole comic.
Well, this is bullshit. Get out of here. Okay.
I forgot about that comic.
Is there a comic?
It was absurd.
Yeah, I gifted it to Mike Lombardo.
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
I miss Mike. So let's get into this a little bit. I want to hear from each of you if you're okay with that. I will start off with myself because I'm the most important. And first of all, I like this better than I like the last 2, but I don't think it's better than the beginning. It's definitely not better than 2, and it's definitely not better than 3. and everything's better just about than the one with Matthew McConaughey. It's a fun movie, but I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was shot well. I thought it was acted well. I really didn't give two shits about the characters anyway, because I mean they're cannon fodder in my opinion, and it was okay. The kills were good, lots of blood. So let's go to Nate and see what he has to say. We'll start with Nate, and we'll go to Keith next.
Boy.
What do you want to know?
Your initial thoughts of the movie.
My thought, initial thoughts.
Initial. Yes.
This is free. I liked it. I didn't. Honestly, I haven't expected greatness out of a Texas Chainsaw film in a long time, because I just kind of feel like there's not a lot to do with it. And when they do break free, Leatherface broke free. People hate it, or I think it's just like a lot of this. I mean, it's not a slasher, but it's turned into a slasher. This is definitely a slasher entry. I don't know. I didn't have early rumblings were that I woke up that morning and a lot of my friends were raving about it. Chris Hansky from Fright Rags said it was great and loved it, and a few other people that I know and respect really were over the moon about it. So I guess I did. I think they elevate my enthusiasm that probably wasn't there before that. But and I like Fede. I figure, well, if he's right in the person, I liked everything he's done. So maybe my little hyped for it. I liked it. I liked it more second time. But yeah, it's not like top 10 of the year or anything for me. It was a fun hour and 23 minutes, which was nice, because that's 2.5 fucking hours anymore. So, or it's a series. So, every time I see something on Netflix, like, yeah, series, I gotta get 10 hours of this thing. but yeah, I mean, it was a fun short slasher film with some really cool moments, with an icon character, and I thought Leatherface was pretty cool.
Yeah. Seth, you ready to jump in? I've been waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I have many mixed feelings about it. I think primarily I don't think it works as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and that's only because of my own personal preference. Yeah. Right, I prefer it to be about the family. The appeal for me with family. The Saw's family. Yeah, that's kind of the appeal for me. So that's where Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of stands apart from the rest, is that there's many different antagonists. It's not just one singular antagonist. And this one, I feel like this one is a good slasher movie. It's got a lot of really cool kills and gore and stuff like that. And it's fast paced, it moves along really well. So it's really good as a slasher movie, but as a Texas Chainsaw, not so much. And I would say that's the reason why this one and 3D are my bottom two, just because I prefer the family over the solo Leatherface type of thing. So, I got other minor nitpicks with this movie itself, but overall, I don't hate it. Like I said, I think it's fun as a slasher. Back to you.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do enjoy the family element myself. I mean, my favorite characters aren't even Leatherface, Chop Top, Nubbins, Drayton. Those are all my favorite characters of the series. So I agree. Yeah. I knew that going in, I felt like I knew that wasn't going to happen. I kind of had a feeling, especially after the trailer, that kind of somewhat mimics the new Halloween series, Jared, what about you? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I should have known better. I mean, there was no indication that they were going to do the family thing. Everything from the market didn't seem like it was the solo Leatherface thing going on. It's just, I don't know. I guess I have a little bit of bias.
If ever a time to name it Texas or name it Leatherface, now was the time. But yeah, Jared, you're up. Let's
I
hear
gotta
what
say it like Ola does, like their face or whatever she says it in the car.
Leatherface.
It's him, Leatherface.
Nathan, you're doubling, by the way. I don't know
Come on.
why, but
Yeah, a little bit of feedback
you,
twitching
you
going
sound
on.
like you got a stutter.
About now, hear you.
And you definitely don't have a stutter.
No.
So my initial reaction to it was fun. With any addition to our largest favorite franchises these days, I go into it really low to the ground, down to earth. Like, I'm not expecting greatness when it comes to anything anymore, honestly, when it comes to a lot of stuff. It was a really fun movie. I do want to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit to the family aspect. We can get into it farther. The movie's literally 80 minutes long. Like, it just
like the
rushes
original.
through. There's so many plot holes, and they don't really go into anything that happened after the first movie, from Leatherface's perspective. But his quote unquote mother, guardian, Mrs. Mick, she was his family. And when they took her out and made her evacuate the house and she ended up passing away, like, that's when he flipped. Like, he, was the subservient son, like he was always, basically, like, because that's kind of the character that Leatherface is. But like, once that happened, he fucking flipped his shit and went bonkers again. And that's the part that I like, that kind of reminded me of, because Seth brings up that the original movie isn't a home invasion film. It's like a reverse home invasion film. Like, they're not coming to attack you. You're attacking them from invading your place, because he knows nothing different. Like, he's simple-minded young man and all that. And that's the part that kind of got me with this one, is kind of they really brought that aspect back again, where obviously she's been covering him up for years. She knows he has a problem somehow. Like, obviously we didn't touch any of that in the movie. Like, we don't know what the fuck's happening. He's just in this orphanage. We don't know, but that's what I gathered from it. Like, she knows something about him, and he can't be around common people. But once she died, it was all off, and that was the part that hooked me into the movie. But I'll let somebody else talk. We can get back all to this.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Vince next. I'm trying to go back and forth. I want to hear what Vince has to say about the movie, because he was being very bold last night.
You're muted, Vince.
Is he mute? Why are you muted, Vince?
No, so I didn't know if I was creating any interference. So I was just like, let's sit back and listen. I was like, listening to all these great answers, because Seth brought up something really good about the family. I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh yeah, there was, like, but that, Jared, you're right. Like, I liked that part of the story. Like, the thing for me coming in is I didn't like that it was getting hate out the gate, because I was like, hey, this has a chance. Like, it's got a lot of good things can happen with this. Like, Texas Chainsaw is a lot of fun. I think for me, it was like, the ride got spoiled so many times. Like, I was riding along, and then all of a sudden the film would just be like stupid, lazy writing, and like throw shit against the wall, and they'd stumble out of it, and then the movie would get going again. You'd be like, what was that? Like, what happened right there? Like something like even as dumb as like the bus driver like running off the bus. Like, it was such an awkward scene where like you just heard like he's like, huh, I gotta run, and he just like doesn't say anything to anybody and just like bolts off the bus. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, can't you like shake the camera a little bit and say that like he can't drive anymore and he's got to go check it out? And like characters making weird decisions and sort of having to like walk themselves and be like, well, I can't tell anybody that Leatherface is out there because we still have 75 more minutes to go in this movie. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and let these guys keep partying. Like, it was just like weird things that like sort of took me out of it. And when and they're silly things to nitpick. And I think what I'm reacting to is I see a lot of it's just a slasher, so and it's like really like you just want the bar to keep getting lower? Is like is that an excuse that like slashers have to only live up to like the lowest rung from the 1980s and can't like evolve from there and get better and try? It's like, fuck you. It's like, no, there were actually opportunities for them to like really make some really good things here, and they tripped up a lot. And it's like in some places it's like the equivalent of like getting a burger and having 2 meat patties with a bun in the middle. You're like, how did this come together? And that's really like
I like that.
I'm being hypercritical, like in that sense, and I understand it. And when you go back and look at the sort of like the evolution of the film, like they replaced the filmmakers in the first 2 weeks. Like there were 2 other people directing it. They got fired. They brought in this guy, David Blue something. And the dude was literally storyboarding the movie through, like storyboarding as he was going. And it felt like because there wasn't a preset tone of what they wanted to do, the tone went all over the place and took me out of it. And the reason why it sort of doesn't, Leatherface is awesome. Like you guys said, it's a slasher movie. It's not a typical like kind of Leatherface thing. Like this is full on slasher. The gags were good. The special effects were amazing. Some of the scenes were good. The thing that it lacked completely was tension and suspense. And like, I never felt like dread. Like the thing that really drew me to Texas Chainsaw when I first started watching it was the dread. I felt dread that entire movie. I was rooting for Sally the entire time. We can talk about Sally in a little bit in her arc. But the sort of like that's what did it. I mean, Texas Chainsaw is the only tape I have ever leapt out of bed and ejected because I was so scared. Like when he gets Franklin with the chainsaw, when I was a kid and I saw that, I stopped the tape because I was like, I don't know if I can finish this movie. This is so terrifying. And this, it was sort of like everyone is so all the characters are so unlikable, and they're all just, and like there's all these things kind of like ham hocked in. You don't give a shit about anybody. Like you just kind of go like, oh, she's like the least worst of them all, so she's probably going to be the one that makes it out. But all these other people are getting murdered, and everyone's like really antagonistic. And these kids are like, it's like, I don't believe a word they're saying about being this ideal town. It's like, oh, you're bringing an ideal town so you can create a social media fucking town, like the kids who get together and do mansions. I'm like, you guys are all self-serving pricks.
Pretentious town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and that's sort of like the other thing is like Texas Chainsaw, the original had like a cast of characters that were like wholesome kids. They weren't doing anything too wrong. They were checking on their family's gravestone. They were going to see an old family house. They were looking for gas and they couldn't find any. They heard somebody with a generator and they went over to look, and all hell breaks loose. And the next thing you know, Leatherface is chasing them around because he's defending his home and he doesn't know what to do because they're cooking and eating people. And they're getting ready for the chili cook-off that's coming up in part 2. And this guy's going to ruin it. And all this stuff. So it's like, there was that thing of like, you just didn't want those kids to go there. And this entire time you're like, please, Leatherface, get them all. Just get them all. And then like, again, what Nathan said, the other, I think pluses for it was beautifully shot. Beautiful location. It's cool that they took over the town. They kind of brought that stuff. I thought the orphanage stuff was a little ham-fisted in. I mean, you're looking at about a 20 to 26-year-old Leatherface getting dropped off at an orphanage. It seems a little bit odd.
I was going to say, how old was he like to be in an orphanage?
And I think, Nathan, you pointed out, like they shifted his age a little bit, right? He was 16 to 20.
In the opening, a lot of this information is in the opening Larroquette montage thing where or the village she's watching, I guess. It has his drawing in that Sally had described him, and it's at age 16 to 20. And then the picture of the orphanage where you see him with his face kind of distorted or spread out or whatever, said 1975, so that was taken 2 years after the event. So, I mean, I like a lot of people think, well, I guess the continuity of the original series was that it was born in 47 or something. But it made him in his mid-20s in the first movie, which like close to what Gunner was. I can imagine Gunner was in his mid-20s to 30, somewhere in there. But there are 16, 17-year-old boys that big. Am I still in?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'll stop talking and see what hell's going on here.
No, but I get what you're saying. Like the thing was about it was I guess as a fan watching the films and like what Seth said, I don't see the Sawyer family being like, all right, drop Bubba off at the orphanage. We're hitting the road. Right. Like that just felt so I was like, or I was trying to figure out like how did these two come together? Like, I get it. Maybe she's the last surviving kind of entity from the Sawyers and whatever line of family they have, and maybe she was like connected through the thing. Like, but the thing is that's delving too deep, and you kind of like again, you got to let your brain go for this movie for it to work because it's very much shoved into a very specific piece to make it work, and sometimes it's fun Texas Chainsaw, and other times it just feels off, and then tonally it just like. I don't know. Like, I think what was the final nail in the coffin is the ending of the film where they're like joking, like they just came out of like a sitcom, like gaff, like, well, that was a crazy week.
Put on a cowboy hat. Yeah, it was weird because like there's on the second watch, I thought that like, okay, she's putting a hat on, all that shit. And
there's dead bodies everywhere.
There's dead bodies everywhere. There's a bus over there with like 50 dead people.
There's intestines hanging out the window.
But like
which was really cool.
The thing with
that was a cool kill.
The thing with them dumping him off. I mean, first of all, the hitchhiker's dead. I don't really see Drayton as being a loving brother or father. Like I think he just wanted to get rid of him. I think they split because, of course, the law was coming. I think the only person he gave a shit about was Grandpa. Drayton kind of feels like a bit of a cowardly person, and he kind of treated.
Well, he has no taste for death.
I guess I'm associating too much to part 2, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah,
he kind of treated Leatherface like the dog. He beat the shit out of him, and I don't think he really cared about it. Like, he was just like, I can get the fuck out of here. If he took anybody with him, he took Grandpa with him.
Definitely made you sympathetic for Leatherface too. Like they could have, like I would have loved to have seen as like a Leatherface showing up on the door of the orphanage, like running from the law, and her taking him in some type of like flashbacks,
some
like,
kind of flashback.
You know what I mean? Like I thought that was one of the clever things that the 3D film did, was sort of pick up where the other one left off and sort of launch the story from there. Maybe and they probably didn't want to redo what they did in the past and try to do that. So I can understand that, but I think that there was a little bit of a. But again, like you have this guy trying to redo the movie on the fly. So you can see how like a lot of things just like they probably just had that day where they're like, you know what, I feel like laughing. Like, let's just have this. And it sort of took me out of the movie. And like you think about Sally riding away in the first movie, like she's screaming terrified. And in this one, like they're laughing. And then, and I get it. They're trying to like take it away. But if they went emotional with it, where they're like embracing and like, I'll never let you go, like I'll never let anything happen to you type sister moment. And then they get what they get. It's like, oh, and then it's kind of, again, it's bringing it to that terrifying thing. So I guess it depends on what type of movie they want to make. And I think they just wanted to make something dumb and fun. And that's what they got.
Maybe they were going for that kind of, way, one of your favorite things, the Friday the 13th, where they make that last part with Alice surreal and like, things are going to be great. And then so they're throwing you off that Leatherface is going to jump out and decapitate the sister like that, which was pretty awesome. And the whole autopilot set up earlier in the movie where we saw the.
I was like, "Fuck yeah!" when that happened.
Oh yeah, I bet that's like an audience cheering moment for sure. They set that. That was a good payoff. Ever since you get an introduction to her, and somebody mentioned that, like her introduction was very like dickheadish.
Yes,
like I'm coming into your territory and telling you how to live.
You really hate her from the beginning.
That's something I do really love about the film is it doesn't take a side with that. What they, she makes the comment about the gun, but then he gives an answer why he's got a gun. We have a wild boar problem here, and we have to eradicate it. It's a invasive species, and so the movie doesn't take a liberal or a. I mean, it goes both sides. It makes fun of the liberals. It makes fun of the it makes fun of everybody. And I was like, I dig like The Hunt. The Hunt was great because it had no agenda. It was like everybody's a joke. We're just gonna kill everybody. And but yeah, so there's some. Like, I think you're right. I think if this guy's coming in and having to make something out of a mess already, it's not that simple. And like, so you get, I think that's what happens when you have to Frankenstein stuff or kind of take what's there and then change it here or there. You get something that's not clear and moments like you're saying, Vince, where you're like, this is really good, but what the fuck was that? And why did you add that? And where was your thought behind this? It kind of like, because it's not coming from one solid point of view or the initial view or vision. It's a added on vision, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he was stuck with. I think he really stuck to the. I think the thing was he was stuck to the script, and he was trying to make it work. And there were just certain things that like it just seemed like they had it going, and then they would just shoot themselves in the foot. Like the scene where Sally and Leatherface have that moment in the bedroom, that completely threw me off. Like shoot him in the kneecaps and then have that conversation.
Yeah, something.
And then even Leatherface. Then even Leatherface
walks
getting
off.
up and walking out. It was so like, what is happening?
It was a
I
very
did.
awkward
I'm
situation.
sorry, it isn't your turn yet. I'm just gonna leave the room.
I'm not sure why you're here. I don't want to kill you yet.
No, actually, you know what it was? It was whoever the actor was. He was actually sitting off stage, not realizing he was in the scene, and be like, "Oh shit, I was sitting in the shot. My bad." Like, you know.
I like the way he lumbered out in that shot. I know he's just
And
moving.
it was very
He's just
like, yeah.
he's just going to go get a Coke, but you know.
You keep talking, honey. Oh my god.
Yeah.
How about her death? What is everybody's thoughts on her sort of like undying?
Oh, wow.
That's one issue I had with the movie. I love like her death scene is awesome. The way he's just holding her up and the chainsaw's just
That wasn't her death scene. That was just,
was
that was
just
a
well,
wound.
okay. Her wound. It was just shaking her.
I mean,
And,
I don't know how she didn't die from that, but
yeah,
I was
her-
mortally wounded in vain.
yeah, it was like Monty Python. It was just a flesh wound.
it's just a flesh.
Just,
She just
a
happened-
flesh wound.
To be able to hold herself together to shoot a shotgun.
Mhm.
That was one big problem I
And
had.
give
He
it to
with the
kept
somebody
her
movie.
else.
going. Someone made a good point about like they were upset about that because they literally just throw Sally into a pile of garbage. You know,
Yeah.
that she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, back."
What a
Like-
way to go!
But
Yeah.
Mick Garris did a great job in acting in that scene, though.
Yeah,
She
when
was
she
powerful.
when she first came back out of the orphanage and she's just
I'll be right back.
when she does her big scream to kind of replicate
Nope.
when she
Wrong
does
one.
her big scream to try to replicate her leaving in the truck and just starts going nuts with that shotgun. I love that part.
Or she's laughing. and she
Yeah, she's
shoots
doing
him.
that laugh scream to kind of like
Yeah.
because she
She's
says,
like,
she
"Ah,
says,
you
"Do you
remember me
remember
now,
me now?"
motherfucker?"
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, her
So-
death was very.
Well, I like
odd.
the thing with Leatherface walking off was odd, but I kind of like the whole pausing of her. Even though, like you said, she should have blown his head off. It's just movie bullshit. But I like that realization that she's wasted her whole life looking for this guy, and he meant nothing to her. Like
Comes to the moment.
that
of,
realization of I've
Right.
spent 50 years because my whole life, my friend's life, my brother's life was affected by you, and you don't even remember. It didn't matter to you. It was nothing. And it made me think of, oddly enough, Demi Lovato was on Rogan a while back, and she talked about this girl, the first girl that ever called her fat. And it spawned an eating disorder and low self-esteem and all that. And then she ran into the girl years later after she was famous, and the girl like, "Oh wow, I didn't even know you'd remember me." And she didn't remember you. You fucking ruined my life. You know, like this girl didn't even think. She had no idea what saying that to her did to her whole life, caused all this pain and self-esteem problems and eating disorders. And like, so it's like that, like Leatherface caused all this tragedy in these people's lives.
Mhm.
And she's been holding on to that 50 years. Became a Texas Ranger, has been hunting for him for 50 years. And she finally gets there, and like he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go have a sandwich." You know, she's like,
A meat
"What?"
sandwich.
I need to take a piss. I'll be right back.
Let's say that
Yeah.
scene would have worked if Leatherface didn't, just get up and leave.
Yeah, that was a weird choice.
That was just a weird. Yeah, it's like that, and those are the moments that you go, "Why did you just do that to yourself?" I thought like the dude getting back up, like the cook getting back up and walking out, was like
I
a
thought-
waste of a beat. I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
But see, I had the same reaction with him that I did with Sally, because when you first see him get killed, it looks like he got his like fucking throat slashed, and I was like, "How the fuck is he up again?"
There's
But
some
then
weird,
then you see his jaws like
That was
cut.
cool.
there's some weird things like when Richter gets his throat cut with the glass in the window. That glass is up here.
Yeah, it goes up.
He
to
throws
his
him into
head.
there, and like all of a sudden his throat's cut. I'm like, that should have been up in here in his temple or his
Yep.
forehead or something.
I noticed the same
Oh.
thing.
Yeah, I thought that too. I thought it was like in his eye almost.
Yeah, it was like a weird cut thing they did.
I liked Richter though. I thought that was a cool.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, he was. Yeah, they really.
The
she tried to really
funny
treat him like
thing-
a dick. He was so good at being like, fuck you.
The funny
Yeah.
thing is, I live in West Virginia. I'm surrounded by like rednecks. So when
Surrounded by
Richter,
Richters.
as soon as Richter
A lot of
pulled in with
Richters.
his truck, blare music, I was like, oh, here comes the resident redneck dickhead. And then she was the same way to him. And then I was like, I actually like this character once we got further into the movie.
No, I mean he definitely played the role, but he twisted it on its head because he's
Well-
a lot more cerebral than you gave him credit
Mhm.
for.
Well, I think the
Exactly.
movie does that a good way because when he pulls in, you're expecting him to be like, a judge a book by its cover kind of thing. And then
Mhm.
you actually get to know him.
I thought he was gonna be like Tex from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Kayla, my wife, she was upset that he died. And I was like, yeah, but they're taking away the safety net.
Dude.
He was the only
Yeah.
safety net in the
He
movie.
was, yeah. Well, the
Oh.
cops, and then they took the cops out immediately, and then they took him out. By the way, that scene where he gets his leg knocked in, fuck.
Oh, God,
just
that was
thinking
so
about that.
good.
that was good.
I yelled. I went, yo!
Yeah. I did a double feature with my friend. He'd never seen the original, and then we watched this one. But yeah, every time, like that scene, we both yelled. It was
Yeah,
so
there's
good.
some cool moments. Like I just love the shot of the girl in the truck or the van where Leatherface is back here cutting his mom's face
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And
That
that
was creepy. And then drags her body behind it. Yeah, that was
Yes.
creepy.
I like that
I
she
thought it
tries
was a
to
nice
play
callback
dead.
that they said he did the thing with the sunflower type thing from like the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one where they set up the body. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the dead sunflower field. I thought it was awesome looking.
Should I put that GIF or that meme up that I sent you guys earlier?
Oh, was it the fruit roll up?
No, that
No, that was
that's
Seth.
that one. That was good too. No, it was Ezel from Fridays saying Leatherface is over here shitting in the sunflowers or whatever it was.
Oh, by the way, I think
The face over here taking a shit.
taking a shit.
someone said
Oh,
something about my films. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, they're new to the channel. That's thanks for joining us. I appreciate the subscription if you are subscribed.
Check
We
out
have a
Vincent's
Facebook
film.
page that has a lot of other stuff on it too. There, Devin, check us out.
Oh my God, the camera's falling. Stop.
Who are you talking to?
Me, my camera won't stop.
Okay, but neither does the party.
Okay, so none of you liked any characters. I
I
liked
did, but-
I liked Richter, but the main girl,
Yeah.
I liked the main girl. I like the whole high school shooting trauma thing, but maybe that's because I'm young and like I grew up in
I like that, and
kind
I
of
was.
social.
I'm like a big fan of 8th Grade. It's my daughter's favorite film too, so I was already like excited that Elsie Fisher was going to be in it.
She's a good actress.
Yeah, I liked her, so I was a little biased in liking her, I guess. But
Yeah.
she's likable. I mean, I
Well-
like that there's trauma already there, and I like that Sally kind of tells her like she's already haunted by this. So like Sally's there really to say, "Hey, don't run. You'll be haunted forever." So
Yeah.
face it.
Right.
Also, when she's walking with the shotgun and she has that shirt on, all I saw was Ellie from The Last of Us. No, my favorite shot of the whole movie, like camera wise, is whenever Leatherface comes to kill her sister, where she's trapped in the truck. That part when he starts the chainsaw and all the glass vibrates off
Oh,
the
that was
door.
cool.
I love that.
That was
That was a
pretty.
cool touch.
That was pretty effective shot. Yeah.
They had little nice things like that. Like I like when he stabs the blonde girl in the fan and a tear drops down her.
Yeah, the
face
one
and he
tear.
stabs her. Yeah, I thought that was little things like that I liked about it.
So my one thing with the orphanage, because you guys keep mentioning it.
God.
So in the original movie, it's not technically ever established that he is like blood, like he's their child. He's just referred to as Leatherface. And
He's the
stuff.
boy. He's
So-
they call him the boy.
Yeah. So what if they like adopted him from the orphanage,
It's possible.
and then that's where he knew to go back.
Yeah,
there?
but the years still don't add up.
We need some muscle.
Yeah.
Let's go get an orphan boy.
Well, I mean that's the thing. They went and got they're fucked up people. They went and
Yeah.
got a simple kid because they knew they could push him around and make him do all the things they wanted him to do.
It could be Seth.
Seth's like, no.
Nope, nope.
That was so good. I looked at his thing and he was just like,
No.
No, I'm pretty sure that they established. I'm pretty sure that they established in the original that they were all brothers. That
Yeah.
Dre and Nubbins were brothers. He's Dre comes home and he yells at Nubbins, "Look at what your brother did to the
That's-
door."
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
and right before then, he berates Nubbins for leaving Leatherface alone in the house.
Mhm.
So
Well, maybe it's
But that's the
Drayton.
thing. You can
Drayton-
still not be related and call each other brother.
Yeah, Drayton could have dropped him off just because she's like, I ain't like I kept that bastard at the house. I didn't have to take care of him. I can't handle him out on the road. Like what am I going to do with this
Okay,
big
but
dummy?
there's a big problem that the plaque or whatever with the picture says 1975, right?
Mhm.
The movie at the beginning says 1973. So
Well, yeah, that was a picture after he was at the auction.
right, so
Yeah,
the
well, yeah,
theory of
interesting.
them picking him up at the orphanage is, I feel like, is not likely because
Yeah.
Plus he looks like he's like 15,
Plus,
like a
his
kid.
the shit that he was doing doesn't just happen in like after you adopt the kid. Like that kid was fucked up from the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe the Leatherface 2017 movie is an actual prequel.
I do. Oh, that's one thing I can bring up is I do like the Ed Gein stuff in this, where you get the mother relationship and get in the dress and hugging it and smelling it after her saying, "Don't go in my room."
I was waiting for him to put it on.
He probably was
too.
until
I think he was going to until he heard all the people outside.
Yeah.
No, I like he started.
He
Like,
starts putting makeup on the on the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which that was a small little thing. I took it as a joke, but whenever they first go in the orphanage and the lady's like, "If I knew you were coming, I would have put my face on."
Yeah,
Like I immediately.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
I looked at my son and went, "Ha ha ha! I get that."
Oh, I love the text.
the dad joke.
On, the text on the bus where their Leatherface is killing them and people are commenting like, "This looks so fake."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
like,
where is
where did you hire this clown? And like, I've been to better haunted houses. I give this a 4 out of 10.
What did you guys think of his look in this movie? Because
I
I know
mean-
that was a big problem with people bitching about the type of chainsaw, which Nate and Keith have been chainsawing the fuck out of our goddamn thread. I'm buying this chainsaw.
It's
I have a
not
problem with it.
different.
I'm confused by the whole thing. But
It's
anyway,
not different enough to really be
I
a
got
big
like
deal.
5 trees back there.
I
I
got-
got
I mean,
did on top of that shit, Lefty, and have some old man go,
I just want to know what kind of gasoline he was using. He pulled it out of the fucking wall and he still lit it up.
Right.
Right.
Here's the thing.
How long was it in the fucking wall for?
Hang on. People kept bringing that up.
Wasn't he
All right?
fixing it when she was sneaking
He
out?
fixed it. He
Yeah, that's
fixed it.
the
I
thing.
did.
Yeah.
People
I was
kept
like, he better
bringing
not
up-
fire this up.
Yeah, people online kept like, he pulled it out of the wall and just started. I'm like,
No, he
did you
didn't.
watch the movie?
You hear
While the
him.
girl
He
was-
goes into the back room and you can hear him tinkering with it.
Yeah,
while
you
she's
can hear
going
him
over
doing
the railing.
stuff,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like, what the hell's happening?
He probably has gas.
That's when they got up, went to the bathroom. They thought they did. I said,
yeah, or they were looking at their phone.
They were looking at their phones like, "Hey,
Yeah, exactly. Typing. This movie sucks.
But what about his actual
watching
face?
it on their, they're watching it on their phone and now it's in the corner as they're typing their meeting, so now it's even this big.
Yeah, he started right away. But what about the? Because that's another thing. People are like, "Oh, he looks terrible." That's a fresh face. That's a fresh skin.
I was gonna say it's not
Like,
skin tight. It's
I
a
thought it was
fresh
great.
face.
Actually.
I liked
yeah.
Well, I like the fact that he cuts the ears off and uses them as like loops to
Straps.
hold the mask. Yeah, straps.
it's a COVID experience." Used
Really
to more
was.
masks.
But even like after it started raining and stuff, the mask started to droop in places. I thought
Yeah.
that looked really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe the director had said that they had attention to the mask is rotting and changing over the course of the situations.
It's a
So,
freshie.
yeah.
It looked better than the mask in the remake, in my opinion, because that looked like a Ruby's mask.
I didn't like that one at all,
No,
really.
neither did I. It looked like something you buy in the store.
I mean, I haven't really loved the mask since the original, but I don't think I like this. I mean, I liked in the remake where he put on what's his name, Eric Balfour's face.
Yeah,
That was creepy.
that was creepy. I don't know. I thought overall. Plus, we talked about the movie looking good. Is there anything else we want to get to? I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We've talked about the characters a lot. We've talked about the setting, though. Like we kind of touched on the setting. They set that little town up to be a fucking slaughterhouse, basically, right? I mean, it had a cul-de-sac. It was built on a cul-de-sac where there was like no way to get out, and there's just that one car and the bus.
Yeah.
You know. I thought the town looked cool. Was it legit, or did they? We know.
Somebody said that it may have been the same one they shot the remake of House of Wax at. I don't know. It kind of was similar.
It's
don't
kind
know.
of
They shot House of
I-
Wax in Bulgaria.
I've only seen that one. I mean, they could have. I know they shot the last one in Bulgaria, right? Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Leatherface. I don't know. It's possible.
The one thing that kind of
I doubt it does. Probably somebody just saying it looks like it. But
the one thing I kind of wish is I think they only use like a total of 3 buildings out of the whole town. They use Richter's garage, the theater, and then the orphanage. I think that's it, right?
mhm.
Yeah, I
You
think
figure some of them would go to different buildings, but I don't know. The theater setting was
You gotta
cool.
build them out.
The theater setting was cool. Did you guys see the fake movie they had playing and the cutouts for it? It was
No.
Werewolf of the Alamo 2.
wow.
I was just wondering why they had a swimming pool in the middle of the theater.
I think that was just the floors falling through and collecting rainwater. I don't know. Okay, so other people I keep seeing online, they're confused about the deed to the house. Did everybody else understand that? Because I understood it.
What are they
They
confused
totally
about?
had no
They're-
rights to that house.
Well, they're confused about like I guess people don't know how deeds work. They think like she could have her house taken away, but she still has a deed to it.
No.
And I was like, you can
No.
only get your deed from the bank.
Yep. And the bank would confiscate it, come in and take all your possessions and
Yeah.
your deed.
Okay. Because
That
a
would
bunch
no
of people
longer be your
online,
house.
I kept trying to explain to them, I'm like, you just don't know how deeds work.
Yeah, they unlawfully took
Yeah,
her house, and that's what fucking fucked it all up for them.
That's just
Yeah.
your opinion, Keith.
I'm sorry.
My opinion that's not how deeds work. I choose to believe.
I have this deed. I have it. It's on my wall. It's
I do
mine.
want one of those I Love Texas shirts that are in the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should sell the shit out of those.
Yeah. What are they thinking not selling those beforehand?
See, they do a physical release. It comes with the t-shirt.
Gentry fucks.
They can run an Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Make a real Vince, you got any interest in making a Texas Chainsaw film now?
I do. I actually when I was originally doing Never Hike Alone, I had multiple ideas that like I would do never something like never sleep alone, never travel. Like there was like different ones that I wanted to do, and one was a Texas Chainsaw where people broke
Never
down and they
Texas
were
Alone?
yeah, I don't know what it would have been, but it would have been like never
Never
drive
Eat
alone, or
Alone?
something like never drive. I think it was Never Drive Alone, and like they run out of gas and they're looking for help and they end up at the Sawyer house and get chased around.
Right.
You know all that stuff. It'd be just like Never Hike Alone, but with
Let's bring
somebody lost. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun.
It brings me up that post credit scene where he goes to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Because like in reality, this is a famous case. That house would not be there, or they would have been stripped to hell. There would be sightseers there every day, taking photos,
Yeah,
selfies.
there'd be YouTubers and
Right.
well, maybe that's the
Maybe
next
that's the
movie.
next one.
Exactly. It's gonna be like Halloween Resurrection.
Halloween Resurrection.
No, what if he
Some-
pulls up and it's the actual B&B, you know, the
Kyle
restaurant?
McLeod shows up. Hey, look, it's his house.
Maybe Drayton's in there making chili. Who knows?
That's another connection with the Halloween, just like the why. He just wants to go home, guys. He just wants to go home.
I'm tired
What
of this
up
movie
is
being
peaceful
compared
life?
to the Halloween movies. It's
I know.
constant, like
It
it's
was
better
annoying.
than Halloween
It was annoying.
Kills. It's better than Scream. It's better. Like, just why do people
Why?
have to insult other movies to compliment other ones? Like, I don't get it. Like, hey, I just went and saw this new movie. Better than that last shit I saw.
Right?
Like,
I just can't. It's a different experience. All these films are different experiences. They're their own experience. It's like each of them is their own franchise. You know what I mean? It's like
And then you have ants that pick apart a trailer and be like, it's exactly like this. It's exactly like that.
Well, I mean, that was the
Yeah.
annoying part. People saw the trailer and immediately said it was ass.
it's
I'm
like
like,
Vince said, people decided they hated it before it came out, which is pretty common now. But they
Oh, it
really,
is.
really, well, I got so tired of he's not using a 245A pulling chainsaw. He's got a 306. You fucking idiots! I hate this. I'm so mad. It's like, oh my god,
They barely look different.
it's the same model, just a different cover. You fucks, let it go. You know, at least they're using the pulling the era. Like,
Oh man,
they're trying.
they are.
Yeah, at least they tried.
I wouldn't
apparently-
even notice that unless Nate brought it, didn't bring it up to me. I had no
Yeah.
idea. And I
didn't
work
know.
with chainsaws all the time. So
I
not
didn't know.
the-
Like I said, you don't really know that. I told these people online, it's like you don't know that shit until you start collecting those things. You want,
Yeah,
and
it's like if you talk to someone about a Ghostbusters proton pack. The people that are into that
they
shit,
know
they
every.
can tell
bitty
you
piece.
every little fucking piece on it.
But my
And I-
8-year-old ass was not looking at that proton pack. Going, oh, look at that piece, and look at that piece, and look at this piece. Oh,
That yellow
Wait, he
part
doesn't
does
have that
not go
circuit
there.
wired, right?
Yeah, yeah, that yellow part does not go there.
They're like
Yeah.
that. They're intense.
It is. It's crazy. And it's like, you got to imagine that, like, whoever's doing the special effects, as we know, special effects artists, like, they went as far as they could. Like, they went as down many avenues as possible to get it as accurate as possible. And I'm sure that they're going like, yeah, we wanted to get that one, but like, they don't make them anymore. And the only one we could find was bullshit. So we kind of replaced this and did this, and we got it as close as we could.
That was
Yeah.
actually functioning. Yeah.
That was actually
Yeah.
functioning, and we could make work and like actually make a prop out of it and have like it actually touch people.
or who know what's
I mean,
happened in the last 50 years. I mean, you know, he could have gone on other adventures, like, you know.
Could have
Maybe he
two.
had another favorite chainsaw that
Right,
wasn't
he
in the
did.
first movie.
That's right. They had
got
the-
from a
they had-
back shed that we never saw.
They had
After
they had to get the fuck out of there, man. He didn't have time to pick which one. He just
after the
grabbed
dance, he just slammed it on the road and broke it.
Yeah, Drake, like,
Then-
just
and then
take
he-
one. Come on.
Then he came home just sad, dragging it on the ground.
He's like, this one cut me. I'm throwing this one away.
I will
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that another thing that's missing from this, which is missing from a lot of them, is the like screams and stuff that Leatherface does in the original.
Yeah, the
Like-
moaning and all that stuff.
Yeah, he gets
noises and
excited, and
Yeah.
again,
Upset. Yeah.
it is like pretty much he's on the spectrum. So like,
David
he's getting overwhelmed.
David said he was told that it was from the original movie. He didn't claim it. Someone told him that. He's just directing the damn movie.
Yeah, you know what I mean. He probably says it, and then everybody runs with it because it's a headline,
Why-
and like, you know what I mean. Like,
Why did he take time to put on the butcher's apron? Like, out of all that,
Mark
he put
needed-
that butcher's apron on. Like, did he really need that? I mean, he
Same
chased down
reason-
Sally without one of those on.
The one thing I did notice that a lot of
The
people
reason
didn't talk
Michael has
about,
to find a mechanic.
he has the tie on. He has the tie on from the Pretty
Is that
Lady
the original?
outfit.
does he?
Yeah, I noticed that
Oh.
second watch.
Did you notice the? I didn't know that. My son pointed out to me in the beginning of the movie when they went to go take the Confederate flag down. Did you guys notice he was in the corner sitting there?
Yeah, he's just
Okay.
sitting there chilling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's having a simple life. He's just,
Not a care in the world.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
He's-
got plenty of human meat somehow.
He's just
they
sitting
fucked
there.
up his safe space.
Do you think he went vegan after the trade drug?
I'm sure his guardian made him lots of sweet tea.
It's like, I bet
Yeah.
there's some tofu on that bus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing that they didn't really get into is the cannibalism. That's one of the big things about the series early on is cannibalism. There's none of that either.
Yeah.
It's just a straight up slasher.
There wasn't really a lot of time to go into all those directions, though. You know?
I know.
yeah,
but-
and I don't think there's nobody in town to like really cut up anymore. And I would imagine like her influence on him was to take him away from all that.
That's
Like, she recognized
kinda
that as
the
a
vibe
bad
I
influence.
got too.
Well, like a lot of people are bitching about, like, we don't know how he ended up in the auction. I'm like, well, who's supposed to tell us this information? Leatherface? I mean, who's going to tell us where he's been and how he got there and what he's done?
Why not in the scene where he's sitting in the corner of the room? We just push in and we hear like an inner monologue of him.
It was 50 years ago.
He's smoking a toe like a cigar.
Oh my God.
Drayton said he can't handle me, boy, so he dropped me off. I'm just remembering this because you might want to know this stuff.
Later on.
Lila,
He looks
Yeah.
at the camera like he's Ferris Bueller.
we need a 10-minute exposition scene of Leatherface telling us what happened.
breaking the third wall. Yeah, be good.
That would be
No, the movie opens
funny
with him
as shit.
running down the street with the chainsaw chasing everybody, and it pauses. He goes, "You might think about how I got here." Well, it's a crazy story.
I worked at S-Smart briefly.
That's my Texas Chainsaw
That's
movie.
pretty
That's how
good.
I'm starting it.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, everybody's
And I
like,
know
I want
you're
to know.
asking
I want to
yourself,
know.
how
I'm
did I
like,
get here?
who's going to tell you?
I mean, they could have always shown it to you though. They could have had something in the beginning because
Yeah.
that's the problem is there's a total disregard for the family element in general. Like They don't mention what happened to Drayton or anything like that. It's all about Leatherface, what Leatherface did in '74 when there was more to it than just Leatherface. And
because
I still feel like it's a kind of a missed opportunity to maybe not have maybe where he had extended family in Harlow. Maybe that old woman was his sister aunt or something like that he went to go stay with.
I think that's more about. I think that's more about how the media sensationalizes the most exciting thing from that story, which would be the guy that wore a human flesh mask.
Yeah, because they don't mention anybody else in the.
No, I think like that was what the press would do. They would focus on this Leatherface character that wore human flesh.
Yeah,
it's like, well, are we going to talk about Ed Gein? Or are we going to talk about or Pogo the Clown?
Mechanic dude could have been Steven Dorff's brother.
Yeah, he looks like him a lot.
I was thinking that. What I mean, what was I going to say about that?
That's funny, Scott.
I did see a lot of people that said they were disappointed that is it Riker? Am I saying his name right?
Yeah.
Rector. Yeah, they were disappointed that he wasn't like a family member who's going to take them to town.
That would have been
kind of like the exactly. That's what I was thinking.
He'd have been Tex, or it would have just been that again.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the family elements of the other ones, but I do like the non-family ones as much because we have not remakes, but we have 3 movies that have to do with like family. Because we got 1, 2, and 3, and I guess New Generation or Next Generation also has family, and then the remakes.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's all personal preference because I actually like Texas 3D, so I'm a weird one.
Oh.
I'm not saying anyone's wrong.
Do your thing, cuz.
Do your thing, cuz. No, I was actually talking to them today. I don't think there's a timeline issue anymore.
I was gonna say Alexander Daddario is the best part of 3D.
Daddario looks exactly the same age now, and she's 3 years than what she needed to be in the movie. And they never mention her age.
Hey, what did Seth have to say? He was talking about.
Oh, sorry, Seth.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's go back.
Let's Seth finish.
No, I was gonna say, like, I don't expect anyone to agree with me or to have the same issue as I do. It's just my personal preference as a fan is I feel like if you take away the cannibalism, you take away the family, you're just reducing Leatherface to a generic slasher.
Yeah,
and that may work.
I get that.
That may work for you guys, and that may be all you're looking for. There's plenty of people who are like, that's all I want is Leatherface killing people. That's fine. That's why I personally had an issue. Just as I'm not even a hardcore fan of this series. I don't know. I'm getting so upset about
it. And that's an interesting thing I thought about earlier is like Chainsaw's franchise. Like we said, like these movies. I mean, I'm sure there are diehard fans of these films, but when you compare it to like the Friday the 13th series and the Halloween and the Nightmare on Elm Street, like Texas Chainsaw doesn't usually come up in those conversations. It's always the big three. And it's like, what has kept this out? Yeah, I mean, it would be like the 4th or 5th, whatever. But like,
I've always considered Leatherface that 4th member of the Mount Rushmore of.
Yeah, but it's like he came before, and I think because like Seth's saying, he wasn't a slasher character, or they weren't a slasher. It wasn't a slasher film. It was a survival horror film.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
Hills Have Eyes. Yeah.
So it was turned into slashers because when the second one came out, and they started like taking photographs of Bill Johnson and Kane Hodder and all them together and Fangoria and things like that. Just like Pinhead got thrown into the slasher thing when he was never a slasher character.
Definitely not a slasher.
I mean, the chainsaw is a hockey mask. You know what I mean? Like that's It's like that's what catches. That you put that on the poster, it gets the people in the seats.
Yeah,
you put pins in that guy's head, that puts people in the seats. And that's what they, it became that thing. And so that's what happens to franchises. They diverge either way. I wonder, because with, the subject of rights issues and things like that, I wonder if there's something that like they had rights to Leatherface and they wanted to really focus on Leatherface, and some of the other characters and things, they didn't write them in there because they didn't have those rights. I wonder if there's anything with that. Like, that's why I have questions.
It's possible.
I mean? I don't hate this film. I was entertained. Like, it was fun. I laughed, and like I even laughed at some of the bad stuff. It's a great film to roast, Like, how does this Tesla get all the way from Austin to Harlow on one charge? Because there are no charge stations in sight. I wish as he was spinning around, the car died, and she had to get out and run.
Right.
That would
have
been
been
great.
hilarious.
Dude, like one last little like thing, like that's what I expected. It was like, but you that's suspension of disbelief. But go ahead.
That would have been 2022 problems.
I said the best joke in the whole movie was Richter asking if they were a cult. I love that part so much.
Yeah, you're a cult. That was great. Yeah.
He's like, no, we're just trying to make a better word. He's like, yep, that's a cult.
What were you gonna say?
Yes, Seth?
I forgot what we were even talking about. I had a thought, and with what Vince was saying about rights, like if you guys read that interview with Adam Marcus and his wife about his original script for Texas Chainsaw 3D, their original script for Texas Chainsaw 3D, he mentioned that the producers at Lionsgate didn't want anything to do with cannibalism. I know that this one was from Legendary, so I don't know if how that exactly worked out, but I know at least as far as like the last two movies, that they didn't want anything to do with cannibalism. I think because Green Inferno failed.
Oh yeah,
that'll do it.
Yeah, I wonder.
That's probably why they didn't cast Army Hammer.
They always base things off of one movie. What about the fact that the slashers are starting to kind of boom again? Like, I wonder if that has anything, because they did make it more like a slasher movie. I wonder if that had anything to do with direction.
Oh, totally.
I mean, probably
Halloween and Halloween Kills, and even Terrifier.
I mean, not to compare movies, but even when the trailer came out, like they kind of cut it to make it kind of seem like Halloween 2018. Like, I know they're different movies, but the way the trailer works, it makes you feel like that movie. Which again,
I mean, that was some of our first reactions to the trailer.
It's a marketing thing. Like, it makes sense. They're a company. They want to make money. They don't give a shit about you as long as you pay them.
Mick Garris playing, Laurie Strode's part.
God. They both have majestic gray hair. I don't know what to say.
That lady looks exactly like Mick Garris. I honestly thought when I saw Mandy, I was like, what is he doing? Anyway,
oh my God.
She's good, but actually, I was very disappointed that her role, everything with Sally was a waste, in my opinion. So,
well, that's what I was going to kind of lead to, since we've kind of talked about the bulk of the first half of the movie. Like, can we just jump into the bullshit, like craziness,
like the bus
third act? The third act of the movie that makes no fucking sense at times.
Start us off.
I'll go ahead and start it off because honestly, within the first half of the movie, when they were playing the cat and mouse game with Leatherface, the girls were playing it smart. They were being quiet when they're supposed to. They were doing stuff when they were supposed to. They get out the fuck of the way.
Well, that was a good moment of tension. Like Vince said, there's not a lot of tension, but the
there
scenes
was a couple
where
really good moments.
the scenes where what's her name, the curly haired sisters.
I don't know.
Curly haired sister.
Melanie or something. Melody or something like that.
Let's just call her the mean one.
The mean one.
Yeah. The mean one.
There's the scene where she's in the crawl space and she's found safety. She's hiding. He starts moving on, but her sister's unaware and come in and walk. And now she has to move. Now she has to act. And she can't just yell out or anything. Like, there's a couple moments where she knows people are in danger and she can't warn them verbally because Leatherface is right there with her.
I forgot we forgot to mention the freaking chainsaw shark scene.
Yeah. And
Like,
there's
it's
a shining sequence too.
It's so unrealistic, but it's so awesome. He's just cutting through floor joists and a giant pipe.
And we get that Shining homage in the bathroom in the bus where he's coming through the door and he looks in and she stabs his arm with the corkscrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Chekhov's gun in the first scene. It was very convenient that they had I guess they would at the bus stop, like at that gas station. They would have
all
that,
tribute to Chainsaw.
Yeah, and they just have that on a loop. And I was like, it was very convenient that this episode happens to be on.
He didn't have a horror. He didn't have a horror ride in the back, did he? That could have been the exposition. Is like Leatherface was dropped off with the oh shit! I can't give that away.
No, it could have been a bar karaoke scene where they all stood up and talked about the past for like half hour.
Right.
I know y'all live here and know who I am, but I'm gonna tell you the story
Oh,
anyway.
my Lord.
For Sally.
Oh my Lord.
It's definitely on loop.
I just
They
love
have,
the
DVD
bartender. I just love the bartender in Hills, like Halloween Kills, where they're watching it on the TV, and he's like, "I remember that guy from 40 years ago." It's like, yeah, Tommy just did a speech.
I saw him last week. He was drinking a beer on the same seat.
I served him.
I saw that guy.
I served that guy.
He was 6, but I gave him a beer anyway.
I will say,
I probably caused it.
at the end, Leatherface probably did one of the smartest things he ever did, where he like just puts his chainsaw behind the plastic curtain wrap,
Oh,
just to like lure her there.
yes.
Mhm.
I actually called that when I was watching. I was like, "This is a ruse. He's smarter. He's smart."
He was kind of smart, like even like when he's hiding in the alleyway behind,
Mhm.
when he comes running out of the darkness. At
I
her.
do like that part. That
Yeah.
part was awesome when he's just ripping that chainsaw from nowhere.
Leatherface was great. The performance and his like sort of like how he acted as a slasher villain in this was a lot of fun. Just as a, if you just kind of, I don't know
Menacing
how it
character.
compares to other ones is best because I'm not as big a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like I would know every single performance, but I
Yeah.
just found his demeanor sort of it was well done. I believe.
They had a lot of things when he was
Agreed.
walking. There's that part when he just like kind of whips his.
I like how he did the
body.
limp because he cut his leg. Like that was
Yeah.
cool. That little piece. Yeah.
The mask is always like dangling off of his
Mm-hmm.
face.
And once he's just drenched in blood by the end of it.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
cool. Like when he's in the theater and he's standing there looking at her, and he's just blood soaked.
Yeah, I do
And that's
like
the
that
cool
he's
thing.
like.
We got a massacre. We never had a real massacre. in
Oh, I
this.
know.
Speaking of the massacre, like, why does the bus scene get any sort of criticism for like, oh, the woke thing? It's like, no, he's doing the exact thing that you want him to do to
Yes.
somebody like that. Like,
Yeah.
that's the comeuppance. Like, it's so weird when I see that as a criticism. It's like, are you even watching it? It's just if
Yeah.
someone says the word cancel, you just get angry.
Well, see,
Oh,
that's the thing. I'm like,
Is that
if
a
you hate
trigger? Are you
these-
triggered?
well, here's my thing. If you don't like those kinds of people, like, wouldn't you like this scene? They're all getting murdered. Doesn't
And
make any
that's-
sense.
I mean that, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you said, like that's exactly what you hate. Like he's killing these people who think their phone's going to protect them from a maniac, or it's
I'm recording this, so I'm safe.
Yeah, I got you on live.
I got you
Broadcasting.
live, sir.
I do like that we see Leatherface at his wits end at the end, where he just like tosses the fucking chainsaw.
yeah.
It was ridiculous, but I like.
Oh
it.
yeah, I love the Thor hammer throw. I think that might.
Oh
Have been
my God,
favorite thing
that
in the
was
movie. I was like,
insane.
yes.
That's literally what my friend called it when we watched it. He said that she got
That's
Thor hammered.
literally
I was
what
like,
it was.
Throws
how
it.
is she breathing?
Yeah, it throws that, then he
Should've
goes
went
and
through
gets his chainsaw. That's cool. I like the little spin where he spins it on the floor across the theater.
Yeah,
catches
yeah.
Elsa
It's so good.
yeah.
He was all versatile with it. He
John
was
Wick fucking.
I do like.
That's
Oh,
the other
oh.
montage.
Although Michael Myers got a little John Wick and Halloween Kills where he kicks the door and makes the girl shoot herself.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I do like that the main character though, like when her sister's like on top of Leatherface, she's like her PTSD's kicking in and she has to like overcome it or whatever. But I do like the part with the shotgun where she's trying to shoot him into the water and just one
need to-
shell not enough.
I think they needed Elsie Fisher needed a little more of what Sally had, where she starts to lose, like you said, the PTSD or the anxiety, the panic attack hits her or something. She really never does it. I mean, I like that they gave her survivor's guilt. She thought she should have died. Why am I still alive?
Right.
They were better than me, that kind of thing. And there was a really interesting character there that wasn't explored enough in many ways. I hate that Sally was sacrificed as far as her story, but I wish Lila had get like just an extra 3 minutes of more to really make. I don't know. I just feel like there was something there that's
We'll
touched
see
on
it.
but never explored.
We'll see it.
And the movie had the room. It's a
2022.
short movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
long
but
is
the
it? Is it
The
like
original was a
75
short
minutes?
movie too.
75
Yeah.
minutes.
Oh no, 83 with the 10-minute
Both of
credits.
them are 83.
I was gonna say there's at least like 8 minutes of credits.
Yeah. I saw
Wow, really?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of fucking credits.
83. Oh, wow.
We got to fill time. Just make up names.
And then you get this
The after credits.
scene at the end of
button.
the credits too, seconds long, but still.
Now, I saw someone mention they're like
Nice
how many
fan service.
I saw
at that
someone
point.
mention how many times he lets go of the chainsaw and it keeps running. That's happened in so many of these movies. I mean, it's not how chainsaws work, but it's in almost all of these movies.
Let's pretend if he can fix it, he also got rid of whatever pin.
I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
He's got that
It'd
gem.
be
you
a
know?
real boring movie if it didn't start the whole time.
He's got to restart it every time.
I'm saying, what do you think about Ash Williams? He it's in his fucking nub. He has nothing in there to be able to turn a chainsaw on.
That's true.
Yeah, he takes a freshly wounded nub that he's got on his hand and sticks a chainsaw on the end of it. Like, can you imagine putting a fucking vibrating chainsaw up against a
Man.
fresh nub wound?
Oh god.
So unrealistic.
Let's not go with
Never
the-
mind
let's
the
not go with the
demons and
realism.
stuff.
The more I have time to think about it, the more I like it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that'll be like me.
It
With
just
that one.
let it go in one ear and out the other.
I've only seen it once though.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a
No,
lot of
it's-
fun with it.
It's
I
still
liked
fun.
It
It's
was
at the
fun, yeah.
It's at the top of my rankings. Like it's in the top of my rankings.
I liked it better than I liked the last two. So
I did like it better than 3D.
yeah, Leatherface and 3D. I did not like Leatherface at all.
I like Leatherface. It just works better not as a Texas Chainsaw movie.
It's mediocre slasher at best, but fun one. Just Texas 3D with plot holes gone like the timeline, and it does not have a bad ending.
Yeah, if they don't put cell phones in the movie and just keep it in the actual, like put it in the 90s, then
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be.
That's one of my big questions is why don't they make a sequel that takes place like in the 70s or in the 80s? Like if they're gonna make a sequel, why does it gotta be 50 years later?
Because it's more expensive.
because it's got to appeal. Well, I mean, I guess Stranger Things like
It's
It's in
80s.
the 80s.
has that market, but you're either doing Stranger Things or you're trying to appeal to today's kids, and they're aiming. And that's one thing that I read, and I sort of had to step back and be like, yeah, this isn't meant for me. This is meant for like today's kids, like these people that these kids are watching, the horror fans that are coming up right now, the teenagers in high school, or like the kids who are in college, or like the young adults, or they're all seeing people that they're related to, their generation represented
Yeah,
on screen.
you have
That's
to
why I
do
think
that.
for a lot of us old heads, we're like, who the fuck are these shitheads? Like,
It's
it's just a generation we don't understand.
You got 60-year-old men like, why is this movie made for me? It's like, because you're dying soon, man. No one cares.
You don't.
You're gonna watch the movie anyway. Like, that's the thing. You watch.
You don't even have Netflix. You have
Yeah.
a Roku.
You got a flip phone. You're trying to watch it on there.
It's like, how do I get Netflix on my rabbit ears? No, I mean the other reason they probably don't do a movie set in a different time period is because it makes it more expensive. You gotta get accurate
that's it.
clothing and cars. And
First of all,
They
the
did have
town
control of
is
that
fine the way it is.
This was like $20 million, though, was it?
So
Yeah,
that's my question.
that's-
Like, was it really $20 million? Because,
It's
like,
weird. Bloomhouse could have made it for 3.
Yeah, no,
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, this didn't. Like, if you think about like $20 million, you're looking at like, I even think like the 2003 movie, which has like all the bells and whistles. It's the Michael Bay production. That's like a $20 million. That's a 10 to 15, I think, $million movie right there. And that's like
Yeah,
in
it's
intricate
70s.
sets and instrument builds. Like, this was a lot in Bulgaria that they took completely over. They just had a set deck, one street. They had one bus. They had one group of extra. I mean, it was such a contained,
Yeah.
cheap movie to make, but those effects, I bet you most of the budget went to the
Yeah.
effects.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But $20 million, maybe because they lost so much money
They refilmed
wasting
the
a
movie.
week of
right?
filming. Yeah, they had to refilm
Yeah.
the movie. So
IMDb says estimated 20 million.
yeah.
That's
Texas
why I
wonder if
Chainsaw 3D with 20 million also.
well, I wonder if it was like if they it was supposed to be 15 and because they did a week, it ended up being
Yeah.
5 or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's lots of different ways, but
Next
I'm
Generation
trying to,
was filmed for 600,000, and it's
That's another thing with the visual effects. I
I've
saw
seen
some
those
people,
in so long.
I saw some people bitching about the CGI stuff, and like, well, most of
Some
it
of it.
is practical, but
Yeah.
like the stuff that's digital, it's in one shot. You can't decapitate an actress who's moving around with a chainsaw and not do it digitally. You can't cut people in half in one take digitally, I mean, or with practically. Just like we were talking about the Halloween 2018 girl getting stabbed in the back of the throat in the oneer. Like, just no way to do it practically. But we would have lost that wonder if they had to do what they used to, which is cut and do the gag.
Commit to your art.
Yeah.
You gotta have a line of actors for every take.
Yeah, we got to figure this out, guys. We got to do it all one take.
Because we're only hiring triplets for this one.
Let's go get John Landis got somebody off the street. Maybe we.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was fucking cold-blooded, man. Cold-blooded.
Oh.
All right. Let's do some final thoughts on the movie, and we'll do the ranking and bounce out of here by 8 o'clock my time. Vince, it's like fucking 5:45 where you are, isn't it?
Well, I have to. Yeah, as soon as we get off of this, I'm sending out a call sheet and then driving back to Riverside, California, to finish the back.
So
half
let's
of,
stay on as
feature.
long as we can, so he can drive all night.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for rush hour to get over, so I'm
Yeah, I
driving
don't
late. I got plenty of time.
So anyway, let's do some final thoughts, and then we'll do the rankings. When was first of all, before we do that, Vince, when was the last time you saw any of the other movies?
I mean, it's been a while. I mean, 1 and 2 I've seen a couple of times since then. I mean, I have seen them all. I think I've only watched half of Leatherface. I was too tired to watch that. And I never went
You were
back.
wide awake.
Yeah, so I can generally just say it'd probably be somewhere in the middle. I just remember that, like, I don't know. It's the original is like gold standard to me, and like all of the sequels are basically they fall in different levels of the same place. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, give us your final thoughts.
My final. Oh, your thought.
Yeah, your final thoughts on this movie.
My final thoughts are it was fun. I sort of was rooting for it to be a little bit better than it was. And I don't think that, it's just a slasher as an excuse. I hate that. But at the same time, like it did enough to say it was worthy of a watch. I think people have said it's like the worst thing ever. Like, I can understand, like, okay, I can see that how the plot holes took you out, because there are plot holes and there's thing in it. And the people who are like, love it, that's great. I can see there's a lot of fun things to cheer about. I just wish, as like Nathan said, people would just learn to discuss it and have fun with it rather than rip each other's throats out and have to compare it to every other fucking movie that came out in the last 6 months. Like, this isn't a goddamn competition every time one of these things come out. We're supposed to just watch it, enjoy it, talk about it, move on with our fucking lives.
Yeah.
So if everyone, you know what I mean? But it's fun. And you know what's great is that, as controversial as it is, it's bringing people's attention to horror. I mean, people it's getting so much buzz that people who probably aren't normal horror fans are like, what are those nerds riled up about? I gotta see what this is going on.
It's number 3 in America on Netflix.
So, cheers to horror taking over for another week. And it's, as everything else kind of goes up and down, horror sort of always remains constant in pop culture. And I'm glad that we're getting these films, and hopefully we'll get a Friday the 13th at some point.
Yeah, probably not. Halloween.
Well,
Halloween's gonna beat Friday the 13th to that magic number of 13. So, Keith, what final thoughts? I don't think you even got your first thoughts on.
I mean, I didn't, but it didn't really change. I liked it the first time I watched it, especially since I was watching it with somebody. Mm-hmm. I had somebody to interact with. That made it fun. And then the second time I watched it with my wife. And then the third time I literally watched it before we got on. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked 2 of the characters, but I mean, they're really the only 2 real characters. Yeah, she was a lot better towards the end of the movie, but that was once she like got serious.
She starts to realize,
she realized she's about to fucking die if she doesn't do anything.
But she also realizes about halfway through that as soon as they find that deed, and they all sort of like go, "Oh, we are bad people." Like,
she felt bad. Like, right away, she was bothered by that woman's death.
Yeah, because the one guy's just like, damn.
Like, she even says something on the bus, like, I can't stop until I know I'm on the right side of this. I mean, she was somebody who was conscious about, causing somebody's death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I liked it. It's fun. I like the whole, they came and ruined Leatherface's like safe space because he was just living, and He was
Mhm.
like,
Chill in that chair with that inner monologue.
he's like a computer. He was in sleep mode, and then they came in and fucked up his shit, and the
Sleep
computer
mode.
got activated.
Because R2D2 in there.
Yeah. Yeah, we figured out where Luke's map was, and he just woke up for
That's
no
right.
reason whatsoever.
Like Leatherface starts back and forth, making pig noises.
No, it's fun. The other thing I don't think we mentioned is the collars that are in this movie. Like, I think it's the most colorful Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie with all the LEDs and
It's pretty saturated.
all the reflections and.
I mean, even the natural lighting is really, really good,
Yeah.
and the
See,
color,
that-
the palette they
But
did
it-
on it was really nice.
It
That's
was
the other thing I liked about
directed
this.
by a direct DP, right? The guy who's been a
Yeah, commercial director, very much
Yeah.
visual driven.
And that's the other thing I liked about this versus the remakes. The remakes were very like dark and grungy, and like that was something I didn't like about those was the aesthetic of them. But I, don't know.
I think Daniel Pearl's cinematography on the remake was probably the best of the franchise as far as
Franchise. I don't know, like the tone.
cinematography.
I just didn't care for the tone, but I don't know. I like this movie. Had a lot of fun kills. I don't know. I liked it. It's number 3 on my rankings. So
How dare you?
I'm sorry. They would probably hit me and vomit if they knew where 3D was.
I don't remember. I don't remember
It's
your
fourth.
list. Is it really 3D?
Yeah, it is. I can look past the top.
Okay. No.
I
You
can
got
look
dumped
past.
like Leatherface by Drayton. Yeah.
I can look past the timeline thing. Alexandria looks the same exact age now as she did then. They don't mention her age, so she can be a freaking almost 40-year-old who's good at doing makeup. I mean, that's how she's in real life.
We do look good at 40, though.
I mean,
right?
that's the thing. People complain about ages and stuff all the time. Like, what do you think happens when you turn 40? You turn into the fucking crypt keeper immediately?
Yes. Look at me.
Well, that's something we didn't talk about was Leatherface's age because a lot of people bitching about that. And
He does look
Um,
young. He
the director had said that he's from Austin, Texas. He says, "Look, I'm from Texas. I grew up with like 80-year-old farmers who were still strong as fuck and like active their whole life and were in good shape." And so
When he was doing physical stuff for that lady, and maybe even with her. I mean, you know, you never
couldn't
know.
go in her room though.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. That's something people like. For some reason, if someone's old, they're immediately decrepit and they can't do anything for themselves.
We're getting Indiana
Old.
Jones 7, right?
Yeah.
6,
6,
5. The
5,
fifth one.
whichever
Yeah,
fifth
no.
one. It's the fifth
5.
one. But like Harrison Ford's in his 80s, right?
Yeah, he's like 81,
Yeah.
man.
I mean,
So Leatherface
I'm
at
gonna-
65 can't do this.
I'm gonna rewatch 3D again, and if I like it better this time around, I will give you a thumbs up.
like,
If I like it even less, I'm gonna kick you in your ass next time I see you.
all right. So 2 things: ignore the timeline thing, or just think she is 40, which is easy to do. She looks the same.
No.
The only other bad thing about it is poorly aged CGI in some shots.
Mm.
Like the ending
And-
scene where a guy gets put in like the big meat grinder thing, it doesn't look good.
Well, it can't be worse.
Dan Yeager did a good job as Leatherface in that film as well.
Yes,
He
and I like-
studied Gunner a lot.
And I like his look. He's got like the gray hair going on. He's like more heavy set. Like he looks like he's
He's got
older.
that gorgeous red silk shirt on.
Yeah, and he's also got the original tie on too.
Seth, your turn.
Um,
Lay it out on the table, man. Lay it out.
I got it ready,
I-
so
This is dumpster fight. No, I've seen this. I've seen this twice now. I think I'm gonna put some distance between it before I watch it again. And I might change my mind. I changed my mind a little bit about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So, I mean, overall, it's fun as a slasher. Obviously, like I said many times, it's not my cup of tea as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen either. For anyone calling this the worst movie ever made, they need to see more movies.
that's what I say every time. I'm like, you've never seen Birdemic in your life.
I've seen a lot of shitty werewolf movies. Trust me, you need.
Oh,
to
I know you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a bad experience. When I had my friends over, we watched, like Keith did, the original and the new one. And, even with the new one, like my friends, there was a reaction out of us during certain stuff, the hand snap and the leg, there's a lot of fun stuff in it. So I don't think it's terrible. It's just not very good as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And I say that now, maybe upon rewatch after I give it some space, maybe my mind will change. But currently, it's like my second least favorite of the series.
Well, yeah. Okay, Nathan, I think you're the last one.
I like the thing about calling it a dumpster fire or shit. Like, I'm really tired of people calling movies a piece of shit because, I mean, Vince knows what it takes to make a movie, and there's a lot of good work in this film, even if they make some poor choices at times. To me, a piece of shit has to be like just completely incompetent and poorly done with no talent. Like, who the fuck gave these people money to make movies? Like
Voorhees.
Well,
Or Roseblood or whatever that one was. Go ahead, sorry.
But like, yeah, this movie is not the worst film ever made. It's not a piece of shit.
It looks well shot.
Yeah, it's like I think it's a disrespectful thing to people who, again, it's like the choices that were made. Some of them were weird, but people busted their ass on it and did a lot of good work.
Yeah.
And to just say, well, man, I just hate that attitude.
Well, there's movies I hate, and I love the way they're shot and the way they look, but I just don't like the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's in the middle ground. It's not one of the best horror films of the year. It's not. It's just I didn't pay a dime to see it. I mean, to bitch about it. I have Netflix. I watched Ozark. I watched all these other shows. This was on. I got to watch it a couple times. I didn't have to go to the theater. I had a fun time. I got to see a really good Leatherface do some really cool stuff. I got to see Elsie Fisher, who I like. And I had a decent score as well. There's kind of echoes of the original kind of sound design-ish type score. Yeah, I like it. I give it like a C plus, maybe B.
I'm excited. I'm going to make one of
Yeah.
those 5-star rankings for the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page and see what everybody else thinks. I'm going to give it, I bet, 1.9 is what we're going to get out of 5 stars from our followers, hopefully. I liked it okay. It's right in the middle for me as well. With that, let's go ahead and show our updated rankings. We did 3 episodes on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in 2020. They're all freshly updated on the YouTube channel. If you want to go to the subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out those. We dig deep into the first movie, then the second and third movie, and then the rest of them after that. And now we've dug deep into this one, so we've covered all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So our rankings start with The Next Generation. That's number 9.
Of course, that's
Right.
the picture you chose.
Listen, if you type in Texas Chainsaw 3D, this is one of the first images that pop up, and it's our picture from the Horror Syndicate. So,
Well, of course, it has
Yeah.
so many search results.
so this is number 8. This Leatherface from 2017 is number 7. I probably should give it another shot.
Like it's got Charlie Starkweather's flying to it going forward.
Number 6 is the remake from 2003. I really don't like that movie. I watched it last night. I still have the same complaints I had in 2003. The 2006 finally got my. You know what? Let me tell you something. My son's been watching these with me, and the first thing he said at the end of Texas Chainsaw 2003, where was the dinner scene? Like, yeah, exactly. That was one of the things that pissed me off. Was no dinner scene. Best scene in the whole first movie. The 2006, the beginning, is number 5, and the new one, Texas Chainsaw 2022, is number 4. I like that scene, by the way.
Yeah.
Number 3, and they go in order. Texas Chainsaw 3D. I want you to call me Tex. Number 2 is, of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
That fucking scene.
Another good choice, I guess.
I mean, this is the most iconic shot, you know?
That scene is so absurd.
Oh my God, when he rubs the leg and
Oh my God.
I love this movie, and this is my son's favorite. I know this is
It's my
Seth
favorite.
and maybe Keith's number 1,
Yeah.
and then number 1, in my opinion, it has to be the first movie. I love the first movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I know Nate loves it. Jared also voted this as number 1. And this dinner scene is one of the best. By the way, my dream
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is a road movie with Nubbins and Chop Top on the road together. I think that would be just brilliant.
Going to Nomland.
Nah, man. Yeah. Anyway, that's our show. Remember, you can follow Vince Never Hike Alone. He's got like 1,000 movies coming out next year.
Just one.
Just one. He plays Jason, Ghost Jason, in those movies. That's just the one. Is that it? There's nothing else going on?
I mean, I got some other stuff. We're gonna do Never Hike Alone 2. That's gonna launch on March 13th. We're gonna go big or go home. It's gonna be a pretty big campaign. Once I finish shooting that
together this time, buddy. I got my Kickstarter for my comic on March 1st, so we'll be going. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to be pushing people towards each other. I mean, our thing's going to come from like a lot of people helping out, and we're going to be going for hopefully some big backers as well. Once I and vice versa. The other two things I'm going to have coming out this year is once I finish shooting Never Hike Alone 2, I have a couple of projects that I've been working on. One is called Ghost Chicken. I've been working on it for a while. It's an animated short about a vegan restaurant haunted by the ghosts of a chicken and the one girl who's trying to figure out why. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're pretty about late stages in that. I'm going to be working with a company called Mako Animation from Mexico, who are actually big fans of Never Hike Alone, and that's how we met. So it's really cool to sort of like have the project sort of reach out to other independent filmmakers. And they do a lot of great work for like Disney Plus and Disney XD and channels like that. So that's pretty cool. And then I have another sort of untitled Ghost Hunter short that I'm going to do at the end of the year. That's going to be sort of if Never Hike Alone met Ghost Hunters, it's going to be a cool like 15 pager that hopefully I get to film with my friends from Jason Rising up in Portland at some point. Cool. And it's going to be it's a good one. And I'm going to get Tom to play the main character. And it's going to be really cool. So it'll be an original short. It'll be my first original thing in a while. So
Tom isn't Tom
live
Matthews.
Action, anyways. Tom is in Tom Matthews, yeah. So it's going to be a really, really cool experience. Cool. And I think my goal with it is to scare the shit out of people.
Good. That's one of the things missing from horror anymore, almost.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's missing. Everything's such a jokey joke fest. I'm sort of like aiming towards emotion and making people run in fear. So so that's going to be my mission this year. So hopefully I can scare a few people.
Get her done, man.
Working on it.
And hopefully sometime this year we'll get to see Nate's movie. I'm sorry.
Well, where are you at?
It's almost done.
Almost done. There we go. The trailer looks badass. So anyway, if there's nothing else, I'd like to thank Vince for coming on, and of course the illustrious panel of the Horror Syndicate Discourse. Jared had to bounce because his laptop blew a fuse or some shit. Yeah, he said, I think my laptop is fucked. Fuck my life. Yeah, I'm sorry, bud. We love you. And we kind of like all you viewers out there. Hit the subscribe button, please, if you could. And check out our other videos on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're sitting there waiting for you to watch. Great conversation, great discourse. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. No, we won't. We'll see you the week after that. Bye.